Today's episode is brought to you by Eleague. Error 404, page not found.
Drop the beat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I am your host, The Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really great, actually. Man,
it's here.
It is here. Twas the night before E-League, and all through the house. I really wish I would have written a whole song for that, or I don't even know. That's not a song. It's a. I don't think it's a poem either. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I wish I would have written it, but I didn't. So here we are. But really, it is the night before E-League, or I guess we're kind of in the middle of E-League.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the night after E-League.
Yeah, well, it's the night before and night after. It's the week
night betwixt E-League.
The night betwixt E-League. It's the week before the grand finals, which is the big thing. But as of recording this, we don't know the results of the EU playoffs, which are quite possibly the most interesting, at least in my opinion. I think the biggest toss-up in terms of what could possibly happen. So we're recording this blind. We delayed one day thinking, and then we messed up. It's not actually. We needed to delay 2 days, but we can't because Blevins is going to TwitchCon. So.
And we also didn't want to interrupt when the episode hits iTunes
True.
and actually releases. Like, we have some flexibility with when we record it, but that doesn't mean we need to change that you guys can listen to it on Wednesday morning. But you're probably not listening to it on Wednesday morning because that is, in fact, when E-League kicks back off again. So hopefully you guys are able to kind of suffer through the goofy schedule as we are tonight or this week as well. So just let us know if this comes up again. How do you want it handled? Would you rather us delay it a day and be able to cover more, or what would you guys like to see from us? We just kind of did our best version of what we thought you would like without having your input.
Exactly. So, yeah. Well put. Please leave your feedback in the comment section or tweet at us. I don't know why, but I'm talking like this the rest of the show. No, I'm not. Maybe I will. I don't know. If we get, I think that should be a Patreon goal. If we get to a Patreon goal, I'll do a whole show in the ESPN commercial guy voice.
It'd be fun for me.
It would be fun for you and the people who enjoyed the 90s baseball references and the football references. So, me, you, and Hex. And no one else. But we do actually have quite a bit to go through today, so we should probably cut the tangent before anything else. We haven't even done anything. Okay, let's go on. Let's do our housekeeping. Deathblow, we've got a new nice little iTunes review.
Yeah, so we do have one. I'm just going to go ahead and call him anonymous because it looks like he smashed his face into his keyboard when he was naming his account. But nonetheless, he left us a very nice 5-star review that said, they do a great job really focusing on the competitive side. I almost only play competitive, so I always look forward to new episodes. Thanks, boys. You are welcome, my friend.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
So please, guys, keep those coming. There are more and more Overwatch podcasts coming out. We're dropping a little bit on the overall list. This is how, amongst listening and downloading the episodes, giving us ratings and reviews is the best way to help us keep ourselves on that first page of Overwatch, so that way people are able to find us and we're able to expand our audience to offer you guys more as time goes on.
Yes, exactly that. We need dem iTunes reviews. If you have not left one already, good, bad, or otherwise, we will take it for sure. So I think that's all the housekeeping we have for now. So let's move on to what did we do last week? Deathblow, you got anything fun or interesting? Did you go to Jared?
One thing, I went to this place called Jared, and I got myself a nice diamond.
Ooh.
And it sits right there on my career profile now when you look at it when we're logged into Overwatch. So, yeah, I finally got there. Big props to my buddy Afterthought, who I do believe is actually in chat for the recording of the episode this week, to hear his shout-out. I played with him a lot and offended some people when they asked me if I wanted to play. And I was like, ooh, I'm 2 wins away from Diamond, so I'm going to wait for the guy I've been playing with for 3 weeks.
Hey, wait a second. That was me.
No, that wasn't you so much. I would have played with you. It was the number of people that time. I was super picky all week, and I really didn't play a whole ton of Overwatch as a result, but I did make a couple of attempts at it. Dropped, I want to say, I don't think I dropped any farther than, what was it, 2,900 was pretty much the floor once I got below it. But I did, frustratingly enough, get up to 2,997 and then drop down a little bit more. So that was pretty frustrating to be that close and then have somebody just want to play Bastion on offense really bad, which is exactly what happened. So, everybody's used to that, but it's a little more painful, I guess, when it happens to you right on the edge, when you're in your winning in.
Yep. And speaking of winning ends, I didn't have any. You got to Diamond. I had one good solo queue session, which I think is actually rarer than that and more impressive. I went 4-1 last night. It felt great. And it was completely solo, no teammate whatsoever. I don't know what happened. And actually the one that we lost, we probably could have won too. It was insane. Like, man, I'm almost back up to where I started. I'm like 1 win away from getting back up to where I started.
Well, yeah, we did have those quality memes from last week. I think they were from last week, where we each had our own.
Oh, man, that was so great.
Our new patron, as we'll talk about here, and we can kind of use it as a segue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's only 1 million points behind. Well, now it's like 1,100,000, but it sounds like you got it right back to 1 million points behind.
Yep, it's exactly 1 million points now.
Yeah. Team the Blevins is holding out hope and going strong so far for the Season 2 showdown here.
Yeah, I feel like, now that I've had a positive record for one night in solo queue, I'm basically the best player in NA. So
unstoppable, yeah.
Yeah, I actually got signed by Envious, so,
Oh, wow.
Internet Hulk is my brother, so.
You're the backup?
No, he's the backup now.
You look a little bit like him, to be honest.
I think I look, a little bit.
It'd be tough. I'd want to see him with a beard before I really called that.
True.
But it's just the hair. Like, I don't know. The hair seems...
I could see. I could see. I also, I think, look a little... If you combined Internet Hulk with Winston, that's basically what I look like. So...
Winston is basically a spirit animal, so...
True. But... you did mention we did get some new patrons, which is pretty sweet, and one of them was the meme master general himself, Mr. Overwatch today, at the $5 level. He has, for the past, I don't even know how many weeks,
at least a month.
At least a month.
I noticed he was doing it on a weekly basis right away when he started. So
yeah, I think for a while now, at least once a month, and the last month every week, if that makes any sense, we've been getting some dank memes from our episodes, courtesy of Mr. Overwatch today. And I think last week's were pretty good. The posters for each of the High Noon Showdown or High Noon Challenge, I don't remember what I named it. High Noon Showdown, probably.
Showdown.
The competition that we're running, we had Team Blev, which was approximately 1 million points behind. Or no, it was for people who I don't remember the line.
Don't understand logic, reason, or numbers, or something.
Yep.
If you don't understand numbers, logic, or reason, vote Team #the Blevins.
Yep. And then there was Team Death, approximately 1 million points ahead.
Only 4 million points ahead.
Yep. both spot on, perfect. I legitimately look forward to the Wednesday afternoon when we usually get a tweet that has some sort of dank meme from our episode that we didn't even think about. So really appreciate that, and really appreciate the patronage. And as well, we actually got a couple this week. This was a pretty bumping week for patrons. We also had Gareth P.
Did we read his message though? I didn't notice.
Oh, yes, we did. Well, it wasn't a formal, like, hey, you guys should read this message, which we will do if you guys do. If you guys are patrons and you would like us to, like, specifically read a message, like, I want to hear Blevin say something stupid, like, oh, I don't know, the Meow Mix song, which has happened. You can do that. But no, this was more of a, I was just talking to him and I posted this. He said, like the show, hope the images and the small contribution gives you guys the incentives to keep it going, tangents and all. And yeah, that was from Overwatch today. So really appreciate that and everything he's done. We also had patronage from Gareth P at the $5 level and Andrew S at the $1 level. Everyone's in the Overwatch Discord. We're getting some peeps in our the High Noon Discord. We're getting some peeps in there, man. It's bumping nowadays. Yeah,
it's going really, really well. It's easily, I think, the best reward. Maybe the T-shirt if you really like the design. But it's
the cupcake video
base level.
The cupcake video though.
That's different. That's a goal.
That was a goal.
That's like a celebration. Yeah, this is like a reward for the individual.
True.
And this is available to anybody at no matter what level. So any amount, if you want to be able to talk to us directly, ask us questions, leave us messages that you're 100% positive we will read. Mm-hmm. That's definitely the place to do it. You also have an opportunity to make some friends with some other patrons and like-minded people. I know Blevins has played some games with these guys in comp, and I haven't had that pleasure yet myself. But like I said, I've been really picky lately, trying to get to get to Diamond. But now I'm willing to kind of branch out and play with some people that I haven't yet, at least in competitive, since I don't get punished so hard if I drop back down below 3K.
True story. Yeah, we're gonna have to get on some grindage soon. Actually, Penne wanted to play today, and I might if I have time. I don't know if I'm going to. I have to. The grill is coming back tomorrow, so I have to clean like the entire house because I haven't done it in 2 weeks. So I basically have to go into spring cleaning mode for one night. So that's going to be fun. But let's move in to some actual relevant stuff. I feel like the whole show so far has been one long tangent. But we had some tournaments this week. Unlike last week, we actually had some stuff to talk about. So first things first, we actually... we mentioned last week that because of some DDoSing, the Gosu NA Weekly number 20, I think the whole top 4 basically got postponed because Blizzard got DDoSed. So let's wrap that one up. So in the top 4 of that, we saw Complexity, the 1%, Weedle Geniuses, and Bat Burrito. We saw Complexity take that one down 3-1 versus the 1%. We also, I think, saw during the week, we saw the Lenovo Cup, which really the only reason I'm bringing this up is because our good friend of the show, multiple-time guest Hexagrams, was casting this one, and he mentioned it to us. So I figured, hey, might as well show it some love.
He also shouted us out like crazy when he was coming on the show. I think during this tournament as it was coming out. I want to say for the finals, he'd received the shirt we sent him. And since DX Racer doesn't sponsor the tournaments anymore, when that happens, now it's our logo on the back of the chair because he puts the shirt on over it. Hexagrams
he got the shirt?
Yes, he's got it.
Oh, he didn't even tell me that he got it.
I sent you a picture of it on the back of his chair.
I did? Oh. Wow, I just looked at that picture and didn't even I basically ignored that picture.
So we've got some great product placement going on anytime.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Testing, which is really, really phenomenal. He's like the best friend of the show, the honorary third host. I'm sure he'll be back, and possibly like last time with next to no notice, we're just going to throw him in and treat him like host number 3 anytime he wants to come on, because we just have a blast every time he's here.
Yeah, so. I will say this, and I mean it completely. I've said it. We said it when we were on Realm Maintenance podcast. I said it last week. I think episode 37, which is the last one that we had Hex on, I think that might be our best episode. It was definitely one of the most fun ones for me to record. So definitely check that one out.
I felt out of it, but it was a really good episode. Like, we took a week off. There was just no tournaments. I didn't watch anything. I felt like I was just so out of the Overwatch loop. Not that there was a loop I should have been in and things I should have been doing in the game, but I just felt a little bit out of it. But by the end, I mean, and like I said, anytime Hex is here, it's so much fun. It's so casual. Everything's going on, and it's great. So
yeah, so great. So yeah, to completely not follow our rule of only talk about the tournaments during the tournament talk, we'll go right back into it. So for that Lenovo Cup, Hex deserved his own tangent during this, though, so I don't feel bad. Lenovo Cup top 4, we saw Reunited, Ninjas in Pajamas, Misfits, and LG in the top 4, and we saw Ninjas in Pajamas beat Reunited 3-0 in that event. So next tournament we're going to talk about, I think there might have been some matches here and there played. We talked about it. Actually, we've talked about it a lot so far, but we're not going to talk about actual results here. We're just going to talk about we're going to set the stage for this event, at least at a minimalistic view. So the Overwatch World Cup, we've talked about our thoughts on it ad nauseum, so I'm not going to go into it any more than that. But I wanted to, we do have the 16 teams that we're going to see at BlizzCon, and I figured, you know what, here's a good chance to talk about them. So without further ado, 16 teams for the Overwatch World Cup, which we will see compete at BlizzCon, are USA, Canada, Brazil, Chile, Sweden, Germany, France, Finland, Russia, Spain, China, South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, Thailand, and Australia, New Zealand. So, like I said, we've talked ad nauseum about this tournament as a format, what it means for the Overwatch community, what it means as an esport event or not. If you want to hear our thoughts on that, go check out episode 37 and 38, because we talked about it with Hex on 37, and then we talked about it even more in depth amongst ourselves on 38. So regardless of what my actual thoughts are, I am still excited to see this, mostly because I'm going to be at the event live, but I think I would be excited regardless. So yes, I'm also hopefully going to be able to get some cool coverage or something of the event, but we'll delve into that more deeply later. So this week, the big tournament, the big I guess progression of the tournament is more accurate here, was Eleague. Like we said at the top of the show, as of the recording of this episode, we do not know the results of EU because they're being played tomorrow, which is actually the day that this episode is coming out. So if you're listening to this early, check and see if EU is playing, because they probably are. And that's definitely going to be one that you're going to want to watch for sure. Well, let's go into what happened in NA. So for the top 4, we saw Envy, Cloud9, Fnatic, and NRG, aka Seagull's team, in the top 4. And then we saw, I think to the surprise of no one, we saw Envious beat Fnatic 3-1 in the final. So first half of my prediction comes true. The NA representative for Eleague is Envious. And I don't think anyone was really surprised. This is basically what everyone expected, even though they kind of, it's really hard to say flopped, but they did not win the ESL Atlantic Showdown, which is a disappointment for them. But you know, we hadn't seen them since then, but that's because they've been boot camping for the past 2 weeks. And yeah, it definitely did not hurt them to boot camp. So we've got Envy representing NA in the E-League Finals, which is going to be played this weekend on TV.
TBS.
TBS, yes. I don't even know what actual channel that is. I guess it varies depending on where.
Yeah,
I think it used to be 38 where I grew up, which is almost useless to.
Sounds right.
Yeah. But I think, you know, pretty much everyone kind of assumed, or at least put their money, at least I did, on Envious being there, and they there was no real, I don't think there was really any sweat for it. But EU, I think, is going to be a much more open event. What do you think, Death? I think that, like, you know, Rogue is a favorite, at least for me. But I don't think it's as cut and dry as, like, okay, Envious is almost certainly going to win NA. I don't think it's quite like that for EU for this event.
Yeah, definitely not. It's been that way for quite some time, where the European scene has been way more wide open. The teams are, I don't even know that they're less consistent of performers than the NA teams are, but they're just a lot closer in skill level and in team synergy and things like that, where the NA side is one team with a team house scenario, or like an office that they all report to every day, 9 to 5, to work their shift of playing Overwatch. And nobody does that in the EU side that I know of. Nobody does that, else in the NA side, and that's something that's clearly paid off big time for Envy. So, you look at what the rosters are for the EU side, and obviously Rogue jumps out at you because of their great performance against. In the last LAN, taking down the Atlantic Showdown. They clearly do well in the LAN environment, and that's a really, really big deal, as we've seen teams like Cloud9 and Envy confound expectations in the opposite direction on the LAN environment. So it'll be great to see. But Reunited, also a team that we're not talking about them winning the tournament, so they're still very much in the conversation. If you're talking about who do we think is going to go lose to Envy, they've got to be in that conversation.
Yeah, they've got to be favored to second place in event.
Yeah, I really think they're almost tied in my mind with Rogue as far as teams likely to get there. You also have Ninjas in Pajamas, the architects of the triple strat that really seemed like it was going to dominate the meta going into this tournament. The NA side didn't seem to be quite as affected as people thought they would. Now, the Ana influence is still there. We'll talk more about the specific comps a little bit later on. But, when you look at what Ninjas in Pajamas did in the Lenovo Cup, which they won, it was phenomenal. And even going into the finals, I didn't catch much of this tournament, but I did watch the finals. And to be perfectly honest, they weren't even playing triple anymore. They seem to have evolved past that into quad double, four tanks double supports, which was really kind of surprising to my mind. But you just at some point feel like you need the damage dealers in there, right? And I think the answer to the fact that it was going that direction, where triple was so hard to beat, that's why we saw a lot of things like nano boosted Reapers and we saw nano boosted McCrees, and the damage dealers were getting some of their nano boosts in this tournament. So when maybe that's a response, or maybe that's just the way NA does things, and EU will be a little different. It's part of the reason I can't wait to see whoever gets to go against Envy, especially since now they made it to the finals. So now the best team to come out of the EU side goes against who we've thought's the best team, with all the money on the line, because there's something to be said for the LAN environment, and then there's something to be said for facing elimination or in the finals of the big game, and that's
on TV and with the the ESL Atlantic Showdown production value, fantastic. It was a really great event for that. Eleague is like a whole nother step up, or at the very least a half a step up. Like it is like it's like a normal or like traditional sports broadcast. Like they have all that stuff. They've got the you see your name, your team name up on the big screen and like flashing everywhere. Like that's gotta be something. Like either you're gonna get the jitters from like, holy crap, this is the team I play for, this is like legit, or like the opposite direction of like, this motivates me more than anything. And we could definitely see it go either way in this event, because even if you've been on the big stage at these big LAN events, like it's not like this. Like this is a stage, like literally a stage in a studio. Even if you've been on those big stages at like LAN tournaments, it's just not the same. I don't think. I think this is like something even greater than that.
Yeah, Eleague seems to be, at least from what I've seen, and granted, I don't watch a lot of the huge MOBA tournaments and what they do for production value, just because I'm not a super big fan of that genre of game. But you know, I've never seen for a video game tournament an analyst desk when they go to like a secondary analyst desk off in the corner of the stage that literally rotates 90 degrees with everybody sitting on it so that they can face and look at the people that just got a spotlight shown on them. I mean, that's the level of production we're talking about. It's a TV studio. And one of the cool things watching this tournament, I thought, was, you know, Siegel obviously being such a popular streamer and such a well-known name with so many fans, there was a bit of a focus on him in the production value, which I thought was great. I've never been a big NRG fan. They played really, really well in this tournament. And I hope, you know, there was a lot of talk where if they make an early exit or if things don't go well, what's going to happen to that roster? It seemed like it was on the verge of blowing up. Same thing with Cloud9, but I think both teams kind of persevered and made an admirable showing in this tournament. So I don't think we'll see anything like that. But like I was saying, there's a focus on Siegel, and they were showing him getting his pictures taken and being ushered around by these people. You know, we need to take pictures on the stage. We need to go into the back room and take individuals and then team photos. Siegel, we need you to come and record this tips and tricks section for in between. And they really showed all of that in the behind the scenes of it. And that's such a crazy thing to think of from somebody that's, I mean, I haven't gone to the Pro Tour in Magic, but we've traveled around to some big tournaments and you're just like in this convention center or you're in this hotel. And that's, even that is a thing. When you go to your first one of those, it's a big step up. So I can't even imagine what it's like to step onto a TV stage with the bright lights and I don't know if these guys are going into makeup before.
I was just going to say.
Like, there's enough production. These guys might have to go into makeup to look like human beings, not all washed out, super red. You know, that's why the guys on TV do it, is because you look terrible under those lights if you don't. So, you know, there's a whole lot of things that go on here and come into play that will never come into play in an offline tournament. And even a lot of other lands, you know, Agents Rising comes to mind from that initial launch weekend. That didn't touch this. This wasn't.
No, gosh, no.
Just on a whole nother level, nothing like I've ever seen before, and exactly what I would expect to see and hope to see from a tournament that was going to play on cable television.
Yeah, 100%. And to kind of piggyback off of that, we mentioned when we saw the ESL Atlantic Showdown that one of the things we wanted to see from the tournament itself, nothing to do with the actual Overwatch being played, was we wanted to see a focus on the players, on the teams, to really kind of get to know them and like see like one of the things we were watching and we're like, oh, which one of these guys is Tailspin? Like, we need to try to figure this out. And it took us like the entirety of the match to actually figure out who Tailspin was, because they like never showed it. Eleague was like, no, here's the team picture, here's everyone, here's like a little bio and a picture and everything. It's like, okay, that's exactly what we needed, and that's exactly what we need to really like make the superstars of Overwatch, to make us actually care about the difference between Ninjas in Pajamas and Envious and Reunited and Cloud9 and Team Liquid. Like, yes, they have different names, obviously. Yes, they have different different teams, obviously. But if you're like not following it all, like this is your first, Eleague is the first time you've ever even seen Overwatch, but you're kind of interested in games, you're interested in FPSs, like you want to be able to pick your favorite team right off the bat, right? And the best way to do that is to have like a little like bio where they interview Siegel. It's like, who the heck is this Siegel guy? How can I see more of him? Because he sounds like he knows what he's doing. Oh, he streams every day and there's 20,000 people watching. Okay, let's do that. Oh, all of a sudden I like Overwatch now and I want to watch esports and I want to watch Siegel. Like, that's how you do it. It's not, you don't put them in a box and just have them play the tournament and have like the focus be on the game. Like, yes, we want to put a focus on the game and we need to grow Overwatch, but we need to do that through the players, through the teams, because we also not only want to grow Overwatch specifically, we want to grow Overwatch esports and also esports at large as well, which we will talk a little bit about at the end of the show, because there are some interesting developments that happened this week. But we'll talk a little bit more about them in a bit. Overall, super, super excited for Eleague. Production value was insane. I really wish that we would have been able to see EU and we could talk about EU now, but well, we'll definitely get to talk about it next week. And do we have a confirmation for our next interview? Can we talk about it now, or should we wait?
I don't want to drop his name, but we do have a pro player that has agreed to.
No, not that one.
Well, we have both. The other one I'm fine saying. Captain Planet said he's going to come on. That's the guy that makes the meta reports. And we're going to get to kind of grill him and ask him some questions about the meta game from this tournament after it's played out. We're not going to worry so much about the finals and what gets played in there, so we might be talking to him before the finals actually airs. But we're definitely going to be bringing him on. So if you have any questions, and keep in mind, this is going to be a really informative interview in all likelihood. We're going to have a lot of discussions about the support picks and things like that. They'll be very to the point. So try to keep your questions in that vein, and we'll do our best to get them on, and just don't be upset with us if it doesn't work out and we don't get to ask your question, because not many listener questions I don't think will make it into this one. But like I was giving away when you weren't trying to give it away, we're also going to be talking to a pro player and having him on for an interview as well in the next few weeks or in the next month or so. I don't know exactly when we'll record it or when we'll be able to air it because of all the kind of craziness going on with this tournament. We want to be able to give him his share of the airtime. And it can sometimes be awkward. I don't like putting players on the spot, asking them to analyze other players and their other peers too much.
That's what I'm here for.
It's almost like asking them to call him out and putting them in an awkward situation. So we wanted to focus more on him and his team and things like that. So I don't want to give away the name yet because it's still a little bit farther away, but start to think about questions you might want to ask a player on one of these sponsored teams, and we'll be able to get more of the listener questions into that interview, I would think.
So I'm looking at the Gosu Gamers top 10 teams, and the team that he's on is not in the top 10, but we have talked about this team and this player, for what it's worth, multiple times.
Yes, and we like this team quite a bit.
Yeah.
So it's, they're not one of the E-League teams, but one of the best not E-League teams that's out there. Yes. For sure.
Yes. So I wanted to. So we talked last week about maybe taking a look at the top 10, the Gosu top 10 list every once in a while, see if anything changes. I don't really think there's too much difference here. What I do expect, I don't know, Cloud9 seems like they've been in kind of a slump lately. They're currently, Cloud9 is currently at number 4 in the world, and I feel like that's a little high for them. I feel like we could see Ninjas in Pajamas. If Ninjas in Pajamas can string together like a couple of consistent performances, I think we see them moving up.
Well, the thing I'll say about Cloud9 is they, like Envious, have been boot camped for the last couple of weeks, and they've been kind of MIA from the scene. So
true.
And they really kind of been in a retreat from the last LAN event, and I don't want to call it a retreat's probably the wrong word, but it's just the one that came to mind. They're regrouping, they're refiguring things out. They seem to have changed roles a little bit, and in this tournament I really was impressed with their play. I thought they were considerably better than we've seen them in the past, and a lot of that I felt like had to do with Reaver. He broke out Widowmaker in this tournament and almost single-handedly took the point when he pulled her out and used her on Temple of Anubis attack. He got a triple kill, and then the team just walked in and cleaned up, and everything else was over. And then he instantly switched off of it because you don't want her for point B, apparently, or at least he didn't. But for the most part, he has been playing a lot of Roadhog in this tournament. Roadhog is back in a big way.
Yeah,
he is seeing a lot more play. It's not always about triple tank. That's kind of where he came in. And like I said, the NA side of the bracket didn't really subscribe so much to the triple tank, triple support, or 4-2 strategy. They still used it, but it seemed more like an option rather than the meta. And I think that's a really great place for that strategy. I love that it exists. I love that it's around. I just want it to be a counter to something, or just a different way to approach a map if you're kind of getting beaten. But
yeah, I would be fine if it was, even if it was more than just a counter to something, if it was just a legitimate strategy that you could bring, but it wasn't like overpowered. It was like, if it was just something that like, okay, our team favors triple just because that's our play style. It's not super overpowered and it can be beaten, but it can also be good if we play it well. So I'm hoping, and NA kind of showed that's a little bit. It kind of feels like how it's materializing, but that could it's possible that when we see NA and EU mix again, we might see it evolve to something else. But
to kind of expand on your point a little bit about Cloud9, though, to talk about their trip through the tournament, because I think them and NRG were really, really impressive this weekend, on at least Sunday and yesterday. Cloud9 actually did lose in the first round, so it looked bad at the beginning. They had dropped to Method 2-1. It was a really, really close match. It's not our match of the week. That's going to be a different one, and we'll talk about that. Really, it's kind of, there's two of them that qualify, in my opinion. No, it was really just the second one. Never mind. I thought both of the NRG liquids were super close. The other one wasn't. But they also came back after that loss and beat Immortals 2-0, and then got revenge on Method 2-1 to be able to advance. And then they got beat by Envy. So they did exit a little bit earlier than I'd hope they would, and they probably hope they would. But when you're on the same side of the bracket as Envious, you're going to have a bad time, and nobody's been able to beat them yet. So if they go on and win the tournament, I cannot fault Cloud9 for losing that match, and I wouldn't drop them. It's certainly in the rankings at number 4 for losing to number 1, especially when we all kind of recognize the large gap between 1 and even 2.
True, but I just like Ninjas in Pajamas because of Himsy.
They're on a tear lately, and Himsy is a big part of it.
And they're innovating too. That's the other thing. They're innovating these strategies, which I obviously, like, that doesn't necessarily give them extra points, but it always has in my mind, even since, as we always circle back to it, Magic the Gathering, I always am giving bonus brownie points to the player who's building their own deck or building the cool new deck. That's why I like the Patrick Chapins and the Jerry T's of the world. Actually, no, Jerry T's not a deck builder. Whatever. The Patrick Chapins, the innovators of the world, who are bringing these crazy new decks and doing well with them, and these crazy new strategies. 4-2. If you would have asked anyone in the format or anyone in Overwatch esports that played or commentated or just followed the scene at all, if you thought that a 4-tank, 2-support strategy would be legitimate in 6 months, how many would say yes?
Probably not too many, to be honest. No, and anybody that's curious,
hadn't been out yet, but still,
it's true. That definitely changes things a little bit. And anybody that's curious about the 4-2, the 4 tanks are everybody but Diva is who's seeing play in that tank composition. Diva definitely not seeing a ton of usage so far, except for in the desperation scenario to kind of have that second life.
Have me playing her
on the point. That's probably.
I'm
why.
envious as Diva. That's my role. I'm the honorary 7th man.
But to kind of drive the conversation a little bit here again, I did want to talk briefly about NRG's trip through the tournament and what they were able to do. And they faced off first against, where is it here? I lost my spot. Team Liquid. And much like Cloud9 lost in the first round, a little bit uglier fashion. It was 2-0, but I will say it played closer than a 2-0. It looks worse on the scoreboard. And you'll see, because they go on to beat Splice 2-0 and then play against Liquid again going into the second day. I think it was the first match of the second day, and they seemed confident. And what I thought was really cool is they actually ran back the exact same map pool. The exact same 3 maps were up for grabs the first time when they lost 2-0, and they were able to take it to Liquid and take them down 2-1. It was a whole lot of fun to watch. A lot of May shenanigans. Seagull playing May is hilarious. The elevator on Anubis blew my mind, and I've even seen some of those. It's been really crazy to me to kind of watch how the character's grown in the meta to be played on attack and defense. Much to my chagrin, I hate that people are doing it, but at the same time, I can appreciate it when I'm watching it and I'm not being slowed and frozen. So, but the way they walked up to that kind of middle ground elevated platform that the whole defense was standing on behind a Reinhardt shield shooting down, everybody pushed right up against it. It's flush against the wall, and then the May puts the ice wall underneath them, lifts all of them up, and they're just in their face rushing after them. Wow. It was one of the coolest moments in the tournament, I think, at least just from a wow factor, and it worked. They rolled right over them. It completely just threw, it might have even been against Splice. I'm not 100% sure that it was against Liquid, but just in general, watch the NRG matches. But the second NRG versus Liquid was definitely our match of the week. It was phenomenal. I believe it even finished on Eichenwald, and just a really, really great overall tournament. And I think it even had to be decided on King of the Hill. I think they had to go to like a best of 3 King of the Hill to decide on a tiebreak. So really, really close, really competitive. And we've talked about how Liquid is another team that's on the rise and been looking really, really strong lately. They've been improving, getting better. So keep an eye out for that match. It'll be on the VOD section of our website. It would be there already if there was a YouTube VOD of it already, but there's not. So if you don't see it on the website when you look for it, please do tweet at us. I might forget. I'm not quite in the habit of posting those yet, so I want to make sure I get them up there for you guys.
But yeah, we will we'll definitely get that up. But let's move on. We've already kind of talked about it a little bit, but maybe we'll go into it more in depth. But what I really want to do is just
let's break it. Yeah!
Play the clip. I really just want to play the clip before we went any further. Yes, let's break it down. So we did talk. Actually, I think we talked about basically everything so far, with the exception of one thing. So we talked about the Reaper boosting. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? So we heard, I think it was Huck. I think one of the analysts from Eleague. I think it was Huck. Yeah, was mentioning that we're seeing a lot of Reaper Ana boosts and McCree Ana boosts, and the reason that he posited is obviously you get more damage, you get more value out of your nano boosts, especially when you're going against multiple tanks if you're nano boosting the damage. Also, what that allows you to do is, or what that does is it makes it a Reaper and McCree obviously a much harder target to hit than a Reinhardt, who is like the biggest, most glowing thing in the world. So even when you have professional players who are hitting a lot of their shots, it's still much harder to hit a Reaper, especially when they're speed boosted and nano boosted and shielded with a Zarya shield. You're able to get just a lot more damage out of a Reaper or a McCree when you nano boost them than the typical Reinhardt, which is what we've seen for a long time and what you almost always see in casual play or ladder play. Like that's basically like the bread and butter of any decent quick play, or not quick match, competitive play team on the ladder. It's much rare that you see the Reaper boost because it takes so much other work to do. The Reaper has to be good. You should probably have a Lucio speed boost. You should also probably have your Zarya shielding the Reaper so that if he does get clipped by something, he doesn't just drop instantly. What are your thoughts on the kind of the switch in philosophy for the nano boost?
Yeah, it was really surprising going into the tournament. Like you said, everybody thought it would just be Reinhardt that caught all the nano boosts. It just seemed like such a no-nonsense strategy. You turn your tankiest player into your deadliest player, and that swings the battle.
Yeah.
Initially, when Ana came out, Genji seemed to be the target, and it didn't quite work out with Genji because if they Dragon Bladed, everybody was still just dying. If the whole team was going to die without the nano boost, why do it? It was the classic win more for you Magic players, and teams went away from it. And the triple tank came out, and everybody was nano boosting Reinhardt. Everybody expected that to carry over, but the triple tank didn't carry over, right? Even when they played triple tank, they didn't have triple support anymore. They only had 2, and they played the Reaper with them, and the Reaper got the nano boost every single time. And as you moved on through the tournament, you saw IDDQD on McCree getting some nano boosts. You saw Farah getting nano boosts. And like you said, it's these smaller targets. To me, it's a risk-reward scenario, right? That's really what it comes down to for me, because I am way more confident that my Reinhardt's going to be able to get some value out of it, to get 2 picks, to do whatever. But
at least get his ult.
Right, but he's already super difficult to kill, and he already does some pretty significant damage if you just walk in there and hold down mouse 1. So you're really kind of torn. But the support players, the opposing Anas, that their job is to sleep dart the target has such an easier time with it being on the Reinhardt that the teams were going to the damage to take that risk to try to get there. Now, we were seeing a lot of these guys getting hammered down. It almost seemed like no fight could start before the first nano boost because nobody was going to use an ult to initiate when every I'm blanking on the name of Lucio's ultimate, but every sound barrier needed to be reactionary. It had to help keep you alive so that you could burst down that target. And, so every hammer down was, waiting for that. Everything was. The whole games were revolving around the nano boost, and that's why we're seeing on the PTR she's going to be generating that ability a little more slowly coming up. She got birthed to bring back that awesome term that I came up with.
Wait, what is the buff to her? I didn't.
The buff is a greater radius to the grenade.
Oh.
So it's going to be easier now to hit multiple people with that grenade, and it's significant. So they made a very conscious effort here not to mess with her power level, but just to tweak things a little bit. They're very comfortable with how she's performing. They're just not sure they want the ultimate to come up that frequently, and I'm kind of right there with them. Yeah,
and I think once again we've pretty much completely predicted how a character is going to play out like months before. I'm pretty sure we talked about how once people figure out Anna, she's going to see a lot more play.
Yeah, and once the tournament scene slowed down enough, these guys had 5 minutes to run a scrim in between.
Yeah,
the Alienware going into the weekly into the it was insane for a little while. So it clearly, you want to hold something back. You don't want everybody to know everything you can do going into a tournament because you might need to surprise them. So there could have been some conscious efforts to hide the fact that they were going to use I said Meta. I don't even know why. It makes no sense. But
it's May, but her ultimate also nano boosts someone.
Right.
Nano boosts everyone within the radius.
So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how things kind of evolve from here. What the changes will do. I mean, that's really the only balance change. Oh no, Widow's getting buffed. So that's very likely to throw things off a little bit, as you might see somebody like Reaver head back to his old home, and that could mean big things for Cloud9. Other than that, though, there's a lot of quality of life spectator changes and very tournament-centric changes coming into play into the spectator mode. If you don't know about them, we might get a chance to talk about them later on, but for the next episode or two, we're going to be really focused on this Eleague tournament and things like that. So it might take a little while.
Yeah, for sure. We had a couple other topics that we basically all touched on. The only thing that we didn't really talk too much about was Pharah coming back. Now, I saw, Envious? Yes, Envy was playing Pharah, but that was Tailspin, who is like the Pharah. So was it Envious is going to win and Tailspin can play whatever he wants, especially Pharah because he's good, or was it a conscientious decision that, okay, we need a Pharah, so let's go Pharah?
I think it was a reaction to the lack of McCree that we saw. There wasn't a ton of McCree, and Pharah never got nerfed. I mean, that's one thing people forget is she disappeared, but she did not get worse. It was that McCree got that much better, and she was that much less effective because of it. So as the triple came out, and as teams didn't want to play that and wanted to find a way to counter it, boy, tanks sure aren't known for their long distance range, right? So when that's what's dealing all your damage, you can get away with playing the Pharah again, and when you do that, you bring out Mercy, so that brings diversity to the supports. And I think we're starting to notice a really healthy meta, and maybe it's not super healthy at the moment, and it's a little tank heavy, but as people figure things out, it seems like it's in a really good spot, and I think these very slight changes that are happening will only bring out a little bit less Anna, because they're playing her right now for her ultimate. There's no two bones about it. The sleep dart's awesome and super effective, but mostly at countering the other Anna's ultimate. So I think we'll see a little bit less of an Anna pick rate, a little bit more of a Pharah Mercy, and then we might get into this kind of classic rock, paper, scissors, where you triple tank beats up on the McCree comp, which beats up on the Pharah Mercy combo, but the Pharah Mercy combo beats up on the triple tank. And that's almost what you strive for in a card game like Magic or Hearthstone. You kind of want there to be this cyclical pattern of decks that beat other decks. That that's what you're aiming for with balance. So I think it's a great sign so far that we've seen all the supports get played so far in this tournament. We've seen all the tanks see some amount of play. Obviously Diva's still the redheaded stepchild of the group, but
it's because no one's picked me up.
It's true. Nobody has picked you up. That is an undeniable fact.
Best Diva NA. It's only slightly because no one can pick me up.
I can.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so it's definitely like just this Eleague playoffs has been kind of a new meta almost in and of itself. I think we'll even see some even crazier stuff for EU. So I'm very interested to see that, and I'm also interested to hear what Captain Planet has to bring for us for that, because we basically shoot from the hip and talk. I mean, you watch everything. So you have that, but you're not like taking down notes necessarily, or
right.
Or
it has to jump out at me and be on camera for me to see.
We're talking from the heart. He's talking from numbers. So
right. The fantasy football player in me is a very big fan of that approach. So yeah. I can't wait to talk to him. And like you were saying, it should be a great interview. So keep an ear open for that in the coming episodes.
Yes, that's pretty much all we have. For this sort of stuff for Eleague. We will keep you updated. The next episode is going to be probably one of the bigger ones, I would imagine, with the interview tied in as well. But we do have a couple of topics I wanted to touch on, because it's been kind of crazy these last 2 days with some stuff going on that affects Overwatch but isn't necessarily directly part of the game. It's more about the esports. So Team Dignitas got bought by an organization known as the Philadelphia 76ers, which is a basketball team. So that was big. That happened yesterday, I believe, or it was announced yesterday.
Within the last couple of days.
It was yesterday or maybe what's today? Is today Tuesday? Wow, man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was yesterday. And then today we got news that a large part of Team Liquid was bought by an investment firm, which includes the owners of the Golden State Warriors and some other team that I can't remember, and Magic Johnson, who is a former NBA player.
Shaq clearly leading the charge and showing the basketball industry and owners and every rich person that enjoys basketball just how much money you can make off of esports, and they're flooding to it, it would appear.
Well, really, I think it was probably Rick Fox who kind of started it, not in Overwatch, but with Echo Fox. I think they started with League of Legends and CSGO, and hopefully maybe someday an Overwatch team. Come on, Rick Fox. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for a team to root for, man.
Our teams have been parodying your org name, hoping you'll notice and sponsor them.
Yeah, I'm like waiting for a reason to buy an Echo Fox jersey, man. Like, just come on, do it. Buy Rogue. Just do it, man.
Oh God, you'd be done.
Oh God, I'd be so happy. I would just snap off an Echo Fox jersey that said Pluppy on the back so fast. But yeah, so we saw that. I believe Jeremy Lin, who is a not necessarily a good NBA player, but a famous NBA player. He was good for like 2 weeks, and then he kind of died. He bought an organization or started one. I don't remember. There's a couple of other basketball players that are like investing in esports organizations, which is awesome. Like, I love basketball. Deathblow, not so much, but he likes football, I like basketball. So it's the yin and yang of the world, where all is good. If we both only liked football, it would be boring.
I will say this: if there was a NBA team in Buffalo and I'd grown up watching it, I probably would love basketball.
Yeah.
It just didn't exist to me until it was too late. Like, I
Buffalo is not a
recognized how
basketball
awesome.
town for sure.
No, I was able to recognize what was going on with Jordan, and he was so great. I watched a little bit of basketball in his time, but always as just a like awestruck observer of his talent, not not a fan of the sport. So my basketball information is really limited. It's a little difficult for me to get excited for these teams, but I'm just excited that the sports industry is adopting esports because they know whose buttons to press to lobby to get whatever you need from the NCAA to, you know what I mean? Like they have those connections. They have those to really help grow the scene to become more like a traditional sport. And Overwatch has started an update, so there's that.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the NBA is that the NBA, I believe, the organization is owned by the teams, and we saw the league. It is the Professional Esports Association start up earlier this month. That is it's starting out as a CS:GO league, completely like owned and run and not sponsored by, but provided by 8 different NA teams, including Cloud9. Cloud9's the only one off the top of my head that I know for sure is part of it, but that's kind of like the same sort of format as the NBA. Like the league itself is owned and run by the teams, and that's kind of, I think, probably the best model for esports. I think just because of the nature of esports and how it's not necessarily like it would be. It's great to have, like, you know, Blizzard League that's run by Blizzard, but I think that in order for esports to grow beyond just like the, you know, like, I don't know what, 5 or 6 like top games that are played right now, to like grow and be able to add new games or new esports into the environment and into the esports ecosystem, like I think we need to start seeing more leagues that are owned and run by the teams and the players, and not just like the developers of the games.
Yeah, and structured, not these one-off tournaments. As much as I love them, it's really difficult to even plan content. You look at our show over the last month and how it was crazy busy into 2 weeks, 3 weeks, really, a week off, and then 2 weeks of fluff and nonsense because nothing was going on.
Yeah. And
then now we're back to like this huge tournament we've been waiting for is happening. So there's a ton to talk about. But, you know, so to have something set up in season format would just make everybody's lives easier down the line. And the players, the orgs, the tournament organizers, everything, to have things more structured would help with planning and would help with exposure, everything like that. So, listen, at the very beginning of the coining of the phrase esports, I didn't like it, but now I understand it better, and it works and it fits, and continue to model it after it. There's no reason there's not a national Overwatch league for the NA bracket that plays out, and then there's the, you know, the EU OWL or whatever, you know, that the NA OWL and the EU OWL should exist. They should already be there, and you know they're not, because the esports is such a new concept and foreign to so many people, and it's great to see these teams get involved, and hopefully they can have more than a driving force for their team and help drive the industry as a whole.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, and to not drove on about this incessantly, even though I'd love to talk about it more, the money is gonna be what influences anything, right? Like at the end of the day, like regardless of how much we love the sport, how much we love Overwatch, how much we love everything, like money is going to speak much louder than us. As sad as that is, it's just as true. So seeing these organizations pouring money, you know, we don't necessarily know how much, but these big investment firms and these like world-renowned teams and like world-known names like investing in esports, specifically esports organizations that own Overwatch teams, is going to be great. It's going to be pushing into the right direction, because if they're not going in the right direction, then or if they don't have plans to push things in the right direction, these teams, I don't think, would have spent the time to actually invest in them, right? Like, if you aren't happy with how things are going, like, how things should work, like you're a successful NBA team, like you know how things should work, how leagues.
Wait, I thought you said the 76ers bought them.
Yeah, I mean, successful in the sense of they're a brand. They're a successful brand. I don't know. I'm not like a 76ers fan, so like that's not like a shot at me.
I didn't know what city they were in, so I knew they were like at least not a well-performing team in the last couple of years. So
well, they were good when they had Allen Iverson. In the
I've heard that name before, so I believe
Iverson
that.
Just got inducted into the Hall of Fame too. So talking about practice. Okay.
Shout outs to Allen Iverson.
What's that?
Shout outs to Allen Iverson.
Yeah, shout outs to Allen Iverson if you're listening. Gonna be AIC. Peach knows what I'm talking about. We're talking about practice. That's like his most famous line, even though it's taken out of context almost all the time. But yeah, so I am like super excited. Like I'm reading. So this is the great thing. So there's like the progression of how I see things. First, I get an update from the different esports news apps that I have. I get like all three of them like send me like 76ers by Team Dignitas. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Then like I'll go on Twitter at work and I'll see like a bunch of things talking about like esports and all this stuff. And then while I'm at work doing stuff for work, I'm on LinkedIn and I see stuff about these NBA teams investing in esports. Like that, I think, is just the coolest thing ever. Seeing these things on LinkedIn, quite possibly the least like esports or video game centric thing imaginable, is talking about how this Philadelphia 76ers bought Team Dignitas. And also worth noting, Team Apex, which I'm not 100% familiar with, but is also a team that they bought. So I'm also interested in one of my buddies that follows sports a ton but does not follow esports at all. I told him about it just because I thought he would think it was interesting. And he's like, oh, so like is the like esports team going to be called like the 76er gamers or something? And I'm like, actually, that's kind of an interesting question. Like, are they going to rebrand?
That's high on my list, and that's one thing I was hoping to get clarification on before we even had this conversation, is I want to know, are they going to be the Philadelphia 76ers when they play? That would, to me, instantly make me like root for the 76ers when they play basketball.
Oh, 100%.
Like, would be phenomenal. I don't even like the name or think it's a particularly good sports name, but it's just, I don't know, it's the way we should be doing this. Like, I want to see mascots out there. Like, I want to see somebody dressed up as a seagull behind NRG.
Oh my God.
Like,
He's going to get bought by the New Orleans Pelicans, and they're going to change it to the New Orleans Seagulls.
It would be phenomenal. But yeah, I just think that would be so funny. And if nothing else, just to make people say cringe more in Twitch chat, like they don't know, like they clearly have no idea what the word means. But just break that emote from overuse. That's really the goal. But I think that's, all jokes aside, I actually would love to see stuff like that go on, and I would love to see there be more of an identity to the teams that other than just like your org name. I don't know. I want to identify with a logo and a mascot and all those things that I'm used to in sports. Yeah. Even if it doesn't necessarily bring fame to the owner, right? Like, you don't know who owns plenty of sports teams out there. Sure, there's Jerry Jones, and there's, you'll have your names from your sports as far as the owners go. But it shouldn't be the norm that you even know or care who owns the team. It should be about the players and the things like that. And they make plenty of money in the regular sports industry without anybody knowing who they are.
True story. Side note, if the Toronto Raptors buy an esports team, we're just going in on season tickets, right?
Unless the Buffalo Bills have an esports team, and then I'm spoken for.
Whatever. But, nice little... I'm super excited. Like, this is like... It's like I actually commented on one of the articles, and I'm like, what a time to be alive. Like, really just... fantastic spot for esports, for Overwatch, for everything. It's just great. But we are running a little bit over time. We got a lot in today, and we've got even more to talk about next week. Deathbud, do you have any closing thoughts for us?
Well, you can always find places to reach me and things like that on the website, highnoonpodcast.com. And again, please do remind me if come Wednesday, Thursday, you're still not seeing the VODs from that match. Shoot a tweet to us at High Noon Podcast on Twitter and let us know to update the VODs. But I'm also very likely, me and the Blevins have been talking, and we really want to make ourselves more open and available to you guys, the listeners, and one of the best and easiest ways for us to do that, and most enjoyable ways we hope for you guys, is to man up and stream more. So we are both, I think, going to be making a concerted effort. I know I will be. Starting is always the hardest part. I'm trying to decide now if I'm going to stream for an hour and a half tonight just to get the first one out of the way. But, it will also, for me, be less Overwatch streaming because I stopped doing that because I lagged, not for any other reason, but it caused lag. So you might see me playing a lot of Hearthstone. I might do some quick play Overwatch stuff since the lag won't be a huge factor. I might start playing Battle Right once it's free to play. But
boo! I'm gonna already be over the game by then.
Right, that's why I pay for it. So, but yeah, I might be, like I said, Hearthstone. I might get into some Rocket League, things like that, things that my processor can handle because Overwatch is not on that list. Though it does it decently well, and my computer doesn't melt. I can't play ranked while streaming.
Yes. So if we were to watch you stream, where would we find that?
Yes, you might need to know that. You would probably want to go to twitch.tv/D3A_BL0W.
Good thing I got my calculator out.
That helps you with letters so much.
Yes. And, you can always find me and all my links as well on highnoonpodcast.com. You can catch the stream that we stream live every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for today. Today's Tuesday, but mostly at that time at twitch.tv/theblevins. You can also find me on Twitter at _Blevins. And actually, speaking of Twitter, also speaking of Twitch, I'm going to be at TwitchCon this weekend. So if you are going to be at TwitchCon and you see me and my beautiful face and my beautiful beard, say hello and give me a high five or something. I'll probably be wearing a High Noon Podcast shirt, and I'll give you a High Noon Podcast
or that awesome McCree shirt.
Or I will be bringing that too. So I'm going to be bringing nothing but Overwatch shirts and Twitch shirts to TwitchCon. So
will you have your sellout Overwatch hat?
100% have the sellout Overwatch hat. How could I leave my home without it? I wear that to work almost every day. But yeah, so if you guys want to, I'm probably going to be tweeting a bunch during TwitchCon maybe. So there's that. And also, if you are going to be at TwitchCon yourself, come say hi. More than happy, absolutely more than happy and overjoyed to talk to fans and stuff like that at TwitchCon. I would be very surprised if any of you are going to be there. That would just be cool if someone was like, hey, it's Blevins. I would probably start crying or something. So if you're going to be there and you want to see me cry, just come and say hi.
I would recommend you actually stalk him, sneak up behind him, jump out and scare him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or just throw Overwatch cupcakes at him.
Oh my God.
He'll catch him with it. He'll catch him with his mouth.
I'm not even going to bring it up. But yeah, so that's going to be the show, guys. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you to all the patrons and all the fans and everyone. Remember, guys, to leave iTunes reviews if you can. Also, subscribe on YouTube. We're so close to that custom URL. So very close. So we need that. Thank you so much to Creation Esports for hosting us on their website and all that stuff. Thank you to Mancherino for being Season 1 sponsor. Find us, all the links and stuff, at highnoonpodcast.com. But the last thing I want you guys to know, and I just need to ask you, Deathblood, do you know the... Okay, I'm done. It's High Noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now, God's my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. For
Okay, here's the thing at the end of the show. I always forget to thank Adam Hoke. So thank you, Adam Hoke. Please tweet at him at Adam Hoke on Twitter and say, it's High Noon Boyz. Bye.